Hi, welcome to Opus 123 Music. My name is James Guitard. This is an introductory lesson on scales. It's appropriate for beginners to intermediate students. For me, scales are a fundamental element of musical vocabulary. They enhance your awareness of tonality and the ways that we navigate the keyboard. And they develop a kind of body knowledge and a choreography of movement that enables us to play complex passages without really having to think about them. We're sort of programming our hands to do the movement so that we don't have to think so much about it. And so it's sort of, it's a thing that we practice all the time. It should be a part of your daily practice if you're aiming to develop, some real skill at the keyboard. So without further ado, I think we should just get started. It's not going to be a theoretical lesson on how scales are constructed or the theoretical implications of harmonies that interact with scales. That's part of another lesson. But for this one, we'll just start from the basics. We'll start with C major, just a scale on the white keys. And we'll start right here in the middle. This is middle C. And we'll play a scale up 2 octaves from this C up to here, like so. And in the left hand, the same idea. We'll start in the middle and move down. Now the fingering is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And to connect those positions, the idea is that we have, it's not so much like we're playing, a bunch of notes, so much as we're playing this position, and then shifting and playing the next position, shifting again, right, until we get to the top. And so there's really only like 3 or 4 movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4 movements in a 2-octave scale. So it kind of simplifies the process. It's not, 15 notes? It's not that. It's just 4 gestures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and so again in the left hand, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It mirrors the right hand. You could play it like this. Right, the hands exactly mirror one another. So the left hand moves down, starting from the center, and moves out. Again, in the right hand, starting from the center, moving out. Okay? So I can make it as long as I want. I can go from the very top all the way to the very bottom. Right? And likewise from the left hand. Something like that. Okay, so some tips for getting the sound really fluid. In music, we call this a legato, right? This is the smooth connection between tones, right? And in the first part of legato is to understand that we want to keep our fingertips really closely connected to the keyboard. They should be almost glued. The fingertips should be glued to the surface of the fingerboard or the keyboard. Right, so if I could play an exercise like this with 5 fingers just moving up and coming back to C. And same thing in the left hand, moving up to C, down. Okay, so this is kind of a preliminary exercise to develop legato. Okay, so the idea is that it's not about speed or strength. It's about sensitivity, and we don't want to lift the finger off the key. We always want to keep it in contact. So when we move down, the finger doesn't come all the way up. It's not. It doesn't come up to strike, and it doesn't come up to let go. It just stays in contact, right? It's we're in a neutral position. We kind of flex the finger in order to give it just a slight amount of pressure to push the key, and then relax, right? Same in the next finger. Right? It's not this, lifting the finger and coming down, lifting the finger and coming down, lifting the finger and coming down, right? That's bad technique. That's kind of the opposite of what we want to do. We want a coordination of the fingers. They roll, in a position, right? It's just a rolling, right? The fingers roll like so. you know? And that's creating the legato. In playing the scale, of course, we're playing not 5-finger positions, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then here's your 5-finger position. But the idea is to create legato between the position. We're shifting, so we have a position here, and then the next one. It's really 3 or 4 movements. We could practice them, in fact, like this. And that might be a way to kind of get the position, the feeling of each position of the scale. Right? You don't have to practice that, but that kind of blocking technique kind of helps. Not just, it helps because a lot of times we get trapped into figuring out the fingering. But the block convinces your body to just grab a whole position at once. Right? And that's where speed and facility comes from. That should be enough to cover, the scale of C major. So we'll learn how to play a scale on every note of the keyboard. And it's not important to perfect C major before we move on to every key, or any other key for that matter. We're kind of learning to develop an awareness of all the keys at once. So I'd start with C major as a kind of preliminary thing. You should be able to play and this. And then with a 2-octave position. And at any tempo that you choose, it doesn't have to be at that rapid a pace. It can be half of the speed. Great, so I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you very much for watching.